I am Dustin Abbott, and I'm back for another episode in my Bangers series. A lot of you asked that I would take a look at APS-C Bangers, and so that's what I'm doing here today. A quick caveat, however, I actually only own one APS-C body, and that's a Fujifilm X-H2. I tend to do my reviews on Nikon and then on Sony on the APS-C mode of one of their high-resolution full-frame cameras. And so as a byproduct, I don't actually have the same kind of investment in APS-C, and so a lot of the lenses I'm going to mention I don't actually own. However, in going back through my reviews and culling what has been the absolute best, the standouts in my mind, at a variety of different price points, we're going to go all the way from well under $200 all the way up to $6,000 today. And so I won't be able to show you all these. However, I will share images from all of them that I've taken in using them in my reviews or having owned them at some point in the past. Also, this is going to be APS-C in general, and so I'm going to be looking at lenses for Fuji, Sony, third-party lenses, and so there'll be a variety of brands that are represented here today as well. The final note is that the price I'm giving is a snapshot of the price today on B&H Photo. There's a lot of play in prices, sales up and down, and then obviously variance from market to market. And so I'm just giving you a snapshot in one market at this moment here today. So all of those caveats aside, let's jump in and let's take a look at the bangers here today. Starting with an inexpensive one, the Viltrox 9mm f2.8 from their AIR series. I started off the full frame bangers with the 14mm f4, and in many ways the 9mm f2.8 is even better. It goes wider, it's even sharper, it's an incredibly good lens, and what really stood out to me is how amazing this lens was on Fuji's very demanding 40 megapixel APS-C sensor. That APS-C sensor has a pixel density equivalent to over 90 megapixels on full frame, which means if lenses are not really good, they look really bad on that platform. This lens looks amazingly good, and in fact, it is a match of anything that I have shot on the Fuji platform, including their very expensive 8 to 16mm f2.8. And so it really is a fantastic value. My second APS-C banger is actually a wide-angle zoom lens that is a bit of an unknown. This is what I would call an underrated gem. It's Tokina's 11 to 18mm f2.8. Tokina has spent some years in the wilderness where they have been a relatively unknown manufacturer that was making lenses that often were not highly competitive with the best in the class. However, this is kind of a resurgence for them. This zoom lens that was released in 2025, it runs for about $600 US. It obviously has an amazing zoom range. It's 11 to 28 millimeters. It's an internally zooming lens, and so it zooms very nicely. And while I wouldn't say it is the sharpest wide angle zoom that I have used before, it is quite sharp, even on, I'm testing it on the 40 megapixel Fuji sensor. But on top of that, I find that the colors and just the general look of images, it has a bit of a sparkle to it. The images are really crisp looking. I actually really like the optical glass in this lens. I like the overall build of it. It's it's still compact, it's lightweight, and it has a great focal length. And so actually really like that lens. It's not pictured here in front of me, but we're going to go into the wide-angle fast aperture category with Sigma's 12mm f1.4 from their contemporary series. It currently runs about $580 US, and while that's not cheap, it is a fantastically good lens. It has a good set of little feature set on it. It has weather sealing, and what's more, it is just really sharp. It delivers really great looking images, and I actually liked it better than I did their 15mm f1.4 that's been released more recently. That's also a good lens, but the 12mm to me is the standout. And so if you're looking for a fast wide-angle prime, you want to do some astro work, some low light work, I definitely recommend the Sigma 12mm f1.4. It is fantastic. Also not pictured, but a really great consideration whether you're shooting on Fuji or the Sony platform or even on L mount is the Sigma 17 to 40mm f1.8. Back in the day, the 18 to 35mm f1.8 was pretty much a cult classic, and while that lens had some focus issues, it was beloved by a lot of people because it gave you that really fast maximum aperture across a very useful zoom range. Well, Sigma managed to expand the formula, making it both wider on the wide end and longer on the telephoto end, maintaining that fast, bright aperture of f1.8. Not to mention that this lens is fantastic in autofocus. It's extremely sharp. If you're looking for a lens that can, literally be that bag of primes and replace a lot of prime lenses, there's no question that it is definitely one to consider. It's not cheap, $920, but it's also a unique zoom lens that is basically unmatched by anyone else at this point. So well worthy of consideration if you need something brighter that also can cover a lot of that standard zoom and a little bit into the wide angle category as well. My favorite standard zoom across all brands at the moment actually comes from Fujifilm, and that is their XF 16 to 55 millimeter f2.8 RLM-WR, and it is the Mark II lens. The Mark II lens is smaller, lighter, sharper. It's just better in every way, and it has not only stands up to the 40 megapixel sensor, which I didn't feel that the predecessor did, but what's more, I believe it has even nicer rendering. It has that extra bit of sparkle when it comes to the color and contrast that really stands out. I don't think that all of Fuji lenses are standouts. I think that some of them are overpriced for what they are, but when Fuji nails it, they really nail it, and their best lenses are very, very special. And I think that the 16 to 28 millimeter f2.8 II is definitely one that falls into that category. Thus far, it has been hard to go wrong with any of Viltrox's Pro Series lenses for be it Sony, Fuji, or Nikon platforms. They have all been uniformly fantastic. And while I'm not going to cover it today, I do give an honorable mention to the first of that series, which was the 75 millimeter f1.2. An amazingly sharp lens, and I'm going to a different one here just because I feel like Viltrox has even improved the metrics a little bit more. But the second in that series was the 27 millimeter f1.2, and it is just a gorgeous bit of optical glass. 27 millimeters is a bit of an oddball focal length for some people, but it delivers such amazing image quality. It has that beautiful combination of great sharpness, but then also beautifully soft bokeh. The rendering is gorgeous from it. I've used that lens extensively, and if I was to use one kind of fast mid-range prime, that's definitely the one that I would go to. It'll set you back about $580, which kind of is the standard price basically for all of those Pro Series lenses, but it remains a fantastic value for the optical performance. It's got weather sealing, it's got a robust feature set. It's just a gorgeous bit of glass. Now, if you're on a tighter budget and you're looking for essentially a standard prime lens, I recommend the Viltrox 35 millimeter f1.7 from their Air series. It's only $180, and so it's the cheapest lens here of all the lenses we're covering today, but it has a really nice combination of sharpness and bokeh. In many ways, I think it is a good match for the much more expensive Fujifilm 35 millimeter f1.4 WR, which that lens is a gorgeous lens. I really, really like it, but it's going to set you back like 4 times as much as this lens. And so it's a little bit hard to justify that expense when this lens does such a great job and holds up to the 40 megapixel sensor just fine. Also from the Pro Series, the newer 56 millimeter f1.2 is, in my opinion, a really, really special lens. And they upgraded the formula, and the reason why I chose this over the 75 millimeter, which I think is also excellent, is the fact that this was the first of their Pro Series APS-C lenses where they put their Hyper VCM focus motor into it. And so now you have even better autofocus along with just amazingly good optics. And it is a lens that competes very nicely. I do own the Fujifilm 56 millimeter f1.2 WR, which I would say I very slightly prefer in a couple of areas, but this lens is it's every bit the match for that lens in many ways, and it's close to half the price. And so I think it's a fantastic value. And again, you can get this all across Sony, Fuji, and then into Nikon as well. And so it provides a tremendous value. Let's talk finally some telephoto lenses. My favorite kind of standard telephoto APS-C zoom is from Sony. It is their 70 to 350 millimeter f4.5 to 6.3 G OSS lens. It's not cheap at about $1,200, but it is the best of the telephoto zooms that I have used for APS-C brands. It just really does a fantastic job. It's sharp, it has great autofocus, it's got that built-in image stabilization. I just really like it for a lot of reasons. And I liked it so much that in my review, I said it was a worthy pickup even for those that were shooting on, sometimes on both full frame and APS-C, because putting into APS-C mode, it still delivers a nicely compact, great telephoto performance for someone that's traveling, for example. And so I think it is a great lens. And finally, at the most expensive end of the spectrum, we have the Fujinon XF 200mm f2 LM OIS WR. It's a really expensive lens at about $6,000. That does come with a dedicated 1.4 times teleconverter, which so it gives you also the option of having that 280mm f2.8 focal length. But the reason why I wanted to include this is that it is a uniquely amazing lens that no one else has done for APS-C. It's got that big, long focal length, that bright aperture. It had great autofocus, amazing stabilization. The OIS in it is fantastic. I found that it allowed me to track beautifully, and that's even on Fujifilm. I don't love autofocus on Fujifilm, but this lens is so good that it makes up for some of the deficiencies in some of the actual focusing hardware. It's just an amazingly good lens, and it's something that I kind of wish was available for other platforms, something similar to that for those that are into APS-C and would like to have something a little bit more exotic. And so if you've got deep budget and you love APS-C, that is a really gorgeous lens that allows you to take the kind of images that are hard to replicate on APS-C with basically any other lens. Now, a few honorable mentions that I do want to just quickly mention that I haven't covered here is a couple of other options for standard zooms. I've got one of them here. I use it, often. It's Sigma's 18 to 50 millimeter f2.8. This lens is not new at this point, but it remains a great package for being compact, nicely made, and obviously covering a really important series of focal lengths with a nice bright maximum aperture. If you want to go a little bit bigger and expand that zoom range a little bit more, Tamron 17 to 70 millimeter f2.8. It does have image stabilization. It's about $600 for it, but it's also on the bigger side for an APS-C lens, but it covers an amazingly broad focal range with that bright maximum aperture of f2.8. And so I found it to be, when it first came out for Sony, I called it a system seller, and I think that remains true even when it's expanded out into some other platforms as well. And so it's another lens that is certainly worthy of your consideration. So there you have 10 bangers with 2 bonuses there, and hopefully amongst those there's something that stands out to you as being special to you, something that is worthy of consideration for your APS-C package. But if I was choosing a set of lenses and I could choose of any of the APS-C lenses that I've tested, that's probably the kit that I would put together. It's a lot of really great glass. If you want more information about any one of these lenses that I've mentioned, look in the description down below. I have links to both text and video reviews for each one of them so you can explore a little bit more thoroughly. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day and let the light in.